also thinking a lot about like how we can't really have good discussions about ableism because the majority of Americans think being ableist is just beating somebody up who's in a wheelchair, and they don't really recognize the the difficulties of being disabled and what that actually looks like. One, because it's hard for them to conceptualize what anything outside of having zero mobility, right? Like, I am a mobility device user, but I do have limited mobility, right? Um, but sometimes I can't fucking walk at all. And that's on top of like having mental health issues, and like my mobility issues are centered around my hips, yes, but there's other things that play into my mobility issues. Like, I have like circulatory, something's wrong with my circulatory system, right? And then there's this thing, it's like, oh, if you don't know what it is, and maybe you, and it's like, no, the medical system is like actually not made to help disabled people. And then there's so many different ways to be disabled, and then for that particular individual, how many ways that that can impact their way of life. um Especially if somebody wasn't born disabled, right? Because there's also this idea that people are just walking through life thinking like disability is something that's completely separate from them, until something happens, and then they one day they are disabled in a way they weren't before. I'm way more disabled than I was 10 years ago, way more disabled than I was 20 years ago. Um, and the way that I'm able to move about it and the way that I'm able to cope, I am sincerely happy with, because I am way more functional than I was, maybe 10 years ago. But the fact that, like, my success would ever get compared to somebody who is like fully abled and like on top of that privilege, right? Because it's a privilege to work. I would love to work. I love working. Part of the reason why I crash out so much is that I am so full of energy. I'm like one of those like working class dogs that needs to like run for like 20 minutes every day, but I can't run, period, without falling, passing out. And then it's like, two, like the types of jobs that I can do are extremely limited, and I'm like way in my mind. I really had to like come to terms with the fact that I can't do a lot of shit. Like, I can't go on stage and be an actor. I don't have what it takes, like, physically. And so a lot of my energy is in reserve to just make sure that my place stays nice. And sometimes I get caught like after I had like a episode, right? Physical or mental, and like I've had, I guess I posted like me cleaning, and then some judgmental bitches are like, "Oh, I clean like this. Oh, don't let it get out of control." It's like, it's as in control as it can be, my love. Unless like someone wants to like pay someone to come over and help me clean, I'm at a point where it's actually pretty. It's messy. It's not ideal. It's not sparkling, but nothing's really gross. Sometimes things get gross, but there's like not a lot I can do about it. Like, it's like, well, it's because you be on the phone all the time. It's like, I really can't do much but be on my fucking phone, chat. Like, I don't know. Like, it's weird. Like, I don't think it like clicks for people that when they're engaging with disabled people and they seem fine, it's because like being on the phone for a lot of people with mobility issues is like the only thing that they're really fine at, and everything else lays a real big toll. Like, even right now my breathing is fucked up. And what have I done today? Made coffee. I went to the little store to get a snack. Ate breakfast. and I'm exhausted. Granted, I've been up for a long time, but being up for a long time, that's all I've had the energy to do. And it's like I can't go back to sleep because I have conditions that make it hard for me to sleep. And so people are really fucking rude. And it's part of the reason why I like to, when I'm like talking to people and working with people, I take the assumption that if somebody is working with, when I'm making the content, that someone has the capacity to do what I'm talking about. But I understand that a lot of people might not have the capacity to do it, and that's why I try not to judge people who are in other positions, right? Because you don't really know what people are facing. You know, like people when I'm outside, they see me with my cane, but like on a day where they don't, like it's like, oh, so was the bitch faking? It's like, no, my mobility issues aren't crushing me into a pestle today. I don't feel like I'm gonna fall over today. What a miracle! It is a miracle. I can walk again, but no, I'll need it another day because there's another element of like some days being a lot better than others, and some days being a lot worse. Like I was having a bit of an episode. Like those are some of my worst days, and I'm trying to do a lot of work now to one recognize how bad my bad days are, so I can also recognize what my like my general baseline is and be grateful for that and try to stay closer to that because there is an element of, oh, I could push it, I could do more, but then I experience like this really bad like fallout if I do that. If I push myself past my limits, I have to pay for it. You know, being, you know, generally sick, um chronically ill is one thing, but when I exceed my limits and then I injure myself, I have the pre-existing chronic illness on top of another injury. So, you know, for me, like having being like heartbroken and then also being mentally ill and then also injuring my arm and also like having everything else that's going on with me on a regular basis, my shit is gonna be messy, bro. Like I don't know what the fuck people want from me. I don't know who they think I am, and it's something I face on a regular basis where people's expectations for me are so unrealistic that I just have to tell them to go fuck themselves as gently as I feel on that day. Because as far as I'm concerned, I'm a fucking superhero, bro. I don't know how I did half the shit I did were not for the grace of maybe 20 to 35 different gods. For the grace of people like, shout out to God. No, I had to get the whole crew together, bro. I was crossing. I was crossing. I was mixing up pantheons. Motherfuckers who ain't never talked to each other was talking. It was like, we gotta do this for baby girl. So yeah, because even now my circulation's weird. And I'm trembling. I'm gonna lay down. Because despite all of this, I'm actually in a really good mood. I'm feeling happy. Like kind of like unearthing a lot of that emotional stuff is really good. But then, you know, I can be emotionally fine and then still be like, something's, my hand's weird. I don't know why it's weird. But I'm gonna like drink some limeade and lay down. I did a lot of work today.